Thank you. Thank you, President. President Lagarde, you're very much welcome here, of course. Now, you started with the economic outlook and the relation between the economic outlook and monetary policy. And I'm very much impressed with the update on the ECB's projections for inflation for this year, 2024. In September, the ECB was projecting 3.2%. And in December, only 3 months after, the projection is now 2.7%. So a dramatic drop of 0.5% only in 3 months. Now, the obvious question is, to what extent is the restrictive monetary policy of the European Central Bank based on wrong understanding about inflation and wrong projections about inflation? The second question is related with the medium-term target. Now, the medium-term target is at around 2%. The medium term is normally understood as being 2 years. Now, the projections of the ECB, even if pessimistic, they say in 2025, 2.1%, in 2026, 1.9%. Does this mean that you're understanding that a cut on the interest rates might happen sooner than expected? Because you talked about summer, and would that be possible already in April?
And I'm sure you expect me to answer that question specifically. Thank you very much for your sort of twofold question. I think the first one you asked when you referred to the projection exercise that we conducted in September, as corrected by the projection exercise that we had in December, points me in the direction of the solidity of our projections. And, you know, I'm proud to say that the ECB was the first central bank back now about a year and a half ago to acknowledge that our projections had suffered errors, and we went deep into why that had happened. And I can tell you that we do that on a regular basis because there are always errors and inaccuracies relative to the reality. What I can tell you is 2 things. Number one, most of the errors in the projections that we produced in the last 3 years had 80% to do with energy prices. That's number one. Number two, from being projections revised to the upside, we have now moved to projections revised to the downside. And the magnitude of those revisions has reduced significantly over the course of time. So do we take complete solace and consolation as a result of that? No, because we want and we need to constantly improve and, you know, shock our models, use a series of models to constantly check and verify what the value and the solidity of our projections. And in times of massive shocks, as we suffered in 20 and 21, everyone was off track in terms of accuracy of projection, simply because of the magnitude of the shocks that simply could not be apprehended by the models that we had. So we added to that sensitivity analysis, scenario analysis to be as accurate as we can. But, you know, energy prices continue to be largely difficult to predict. The spot price, we know what it is today. But of course, we have to take into account future prices, which all experts will agree are the best we have, but not good. So unless there was an alternative more valuable than that, we're going to continue using that, and there will be margin for errors. I think we have to just simply acknowledge that. The second point, as you predicated, I'm not going to tell you, when in the late spring it would happen, or in the early summer, or whatever. But I will say one thing. We are confident that directionally we're heading towards the 2% medium term in a timely fashion. But as I also put in writing in my introductory remarks to you, we need to be more confident, and we don't have enough yet at this point to be certain that it is sustainable, and we do not want the risk that it be reversed, which would then be a waste of everything that we've done and would lead us to having to take yet more measures. So we need to have more confidence, and that confidence will result from data that we will continue to receive and to collect and to dissect in order to really make sure that we are heading in that direction. The final thing I will say is, I would not necessarily assume that 3 years is always the medium term. It really depends on the magnitude, the persistence of the shock, among others, and it could be longer, it could be shorter. But we should not just assume that 3 years is 3 years. Thank you.